What's up, YouTube? You know what time it is. It's Mighty Fan time. And I apologize. Last week I never got around to filming my weekly series, the throwback baseball team of the week, to show the throwback jersey collection for MLB of mine. When we last left off, it was the New York Mets a couple weeks ago. And then after I shot that video, the Mets swept the Phillies. But I want to say I didn't have a hand in that. Although I was at the game last Wednesday night with a good buddy of mine, and we left in the seventh inning because it was just getting out of hand at that time, and the Phillies bullpen was horrible. The whole series kept giving up leads. It wasn't a good week. Flyers lost their series to the Devils. Always hated them. And the Phillies just kept losing game after game. And the Sixers won their series, though. They beat the Bulls without Derrick Rose and Noah. I know. But hey, it's the first series win since the Iverson years, so I was happy. You gotta give me something. But anyhow, yeah, it was a tough week other than that for Philly sports fans like myself. But it's a new week now. The Phillies just won a series against the Padres. I know it's the Padres, but still, you gotta give me something. And although, you got to sweep that team. I'm sorry. Come on. Yeah. But anyhow, I'll take the series win. And, of course, the Sixers started their second-round series with what should have been a win by them against Boston in Game 1. But then I guess Boston superstars remembered that they were superstars and took the game over. They just had to remember that, too, in the fourth quarter, didn't they? They just couldn't give it to us. But anyhow, Rondo. And every time I see Pierce in the Celtics uniform, I just know what could have been, because he could have been a Sixer. If Larry Brown just would have drafted him instead of Larry Hughes. Larry Hughes, come on. Over Paul Pierce, really? But that was Larry Brown and his wacky drafting ways, but Paul Pierce should have been a Sixer. Oh, my goodness. I still wonder about what could have happened if Pierce and Iverson were on the team together. I wonder sometimes I do. I wonder if they could have won at least one championship with those two. Because that would have been, I don't know, 2001, that might not have gone the Lakers' way in that series if Pierce was a Sixer, but with Iverson. But, hey, you know what? I can't do anything about it as a fan. It was Larry Brown's fault. Larry Brown. But anyhow, every time I see Pierce, and he always kills the Sixers, too. He always kills the Sixers. I keep thinking, he could have been a Sixer. This didn't have to be. But anyhow, I'm still happy. The Sixers are still, doing pretty good. They should have won Game 1. Hopefully they'll win Game 2 and, get back in the series, bring it back to Philly, as they did in Chicago in the first round. And we'll see what happens. You know what? Right now it's basically house's money anyhow, because no one figured the Sixers were going to get by the Bulls in the first round. Of course, I guess the Bulls losing Rose and Noah didn't really help them any. But, again, I'm just saying. As a Sixer fan, I'm just happy to be in the second round. Championships will come some other time. I'm just happy to be in the second round. It's like the Wizards those years ago. Remember when they won the first round and they made those shirts? Second round. It's because they were all happy to get there. The Sixers didn't make shirts, but hey, anyhow, on to the topic at hand, and that is the team of the week, or in this week's case, the teams of the week. And since I missed last week, I figured I would go with a city that has two teams that I haven't shown to this point. So Windy City. Even though my Sixers did take care of your Bulls, stand up, because this week it's about you. It's about the Chicago Cubs and the Chicago White Sox. And I did have one of my subscribers suggest the White Sox and Cardinals to the teams he wanted to see. This isn't the Cardinals, but I got the White Sox in there. I'm still holding off on the Cardinals for a little bit. I'm still a little angry at them from last year, but beating my Phillies in the first round. But although I do have David Freese on my fantasy team, so I guess I don't hold big grudges, do I? But anyhow, let's get right to the jerseys and the teams. And we're going to start with a team that I've always liked, I've always respected. Not over my Phillies, keep in mind, but I've always liked, and that's the Chicago Cubs. The Cubbies, the lovable losers, the team that's gone over 100 years without winning a World Series. And we're going to start with them. Even though they haven't won a World Series in over 100 years, they are represented in MightyFan's collection. So Chicago Cub fans out there, at least you guys can take that away, right? MightyFan's got you covered. So there are 3 Mitchell and Ness jerseys, and the first one is the 1987, the MVP that year, the Hawk, Andre Dawson, Chicago Cubs, number 8 jersey, the pullover. Always like the home Cubs jerseys too. Just that big logo and the pinstripes, very very cool. And I've always been a fan of that particular Cubs logo. It's always been one of my favorites. So there you go. The 8 single stitched. 87. Andre Dawson, the Hawk, right there. So there you go. Jersey number 1. I'm gonna find a place to put this for the time being. Okay. Speaking of players that got away from Philadelphia, this guy actually came back, but way after his playing days were over, because now he's the current manager of one of the Phillies minor league systems, the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, and some say he could be the next manager of the Phillies. I believe that too. I think he will be the next manager of the Phillies, whenever that might be down the road. But I'm of course speaking of one of the greatest second baseman ever, a guy who never should have been traded many years ago from the Phillies, and that's Mr. Rhino, Ryan Sandberg. This is one of my all-time favorite jerseys in the collection right now, because this is just an awesome jersey. I love the colors on this jersey. I love the look of it, the font, everything that goes with it. It's just awesome. And this is the 1984 blue Ryan Sandberg jersey. It'd be the road blue jersey that they wore back then. And there he is, number 23. Could have been a Philly. One of the worst trades the Phillies ever made in their franchise history was trading away Ryan Sandberg, who was a throw-in player in the trade. Ryan Sandberg never played as a Philly. He was a Reading Philly for many years, but he never played as a Philadelphia Philly. He never made it up to the big club. And they basically threw him in a deal those years ago to the Cubs. The Cubs pretty much pulled one over on the Phillies with that trade. Those many years ago. And Dallas Green, I believe, was the manager of the Cubs at that time, so he kind of knew who Ryan Sandberg was. He says, that Sandberg guy, I think we'll take him too. Okay. I forget exactly who was traded for who, but Sandberg was like a throw-in player. Yeah, he goes on to be a Hall of Fame second baseman for the Cubs. That's a nice throw-in. Phillies could have gotten something like that some year, but oh well. But anyhow, yeah, Ryan Sandberg, one of the most iconic, I would say, Sandberg Cubs jerseys of all time. You always see this one, and this is just such a cool one. I love the font there, the 23 and the Sandberg, everything double stitched. And yes, it is a dual patch jersey, and it's a pullover jersey. So it's the best of both worlds. It has the old logo, and they won the NL East division back in 1984, so they commemorated it with that patch. By the way, can you imagine a team doing that today? Like the Phillies put like 5-time NL East champs patch on their shoulder. But it was a big deal back then, obviously, because it was harder to make the playoffs and such back then. So, of course, they commemorated it. And back then, they were in the East. Not so much anymore, but there you go. Good old Rhino, who could be the next Phillies manager. So, many, many years later, he returns to the fold. But, oh well. And this was the first Sandberg jersey I ever had. I actually got this one prior to that one. In fact, that one I got on eBay about a year or two back, and I got such a great deal on it. I forget exactly how much it was. It was like $40 shipped or something like that. Just a great deal. But this one I bought at the Mitchell & Ness store some years ago during a baseball sale they were having. And this is the Road Gray button-down 1990 Ryan Sandberg jersey. And it's got that Chicago 23. Just a different kind of style Cubs jersey. You don't see that too often. And it's got the Sandberg 23 on the back. And again, it's dual patch because the Cubs hosted the All-Star game that year. I love that patch. This is a great look right there. The 1990 All-Star game at Wrigley Field. And then the Cubs logo on the other side. It's actually triple stitched on the front. Chicago, the 23 on that on the front's actually triple stitched. The Chicago's double stitched, as is the Sandberg 23 on the back. But that 23 is triple stitched on the front. Yes, he was the other 23 that played in Chicago. I think we all know who the other one was. I think, if I remember correctly, I think Robin Ventura wore number 23 for the White Sox. Don't hold me to that, though. I'm trying to remember. I know for sure there was another guy who wore number 23. He played on the Bulls. In Chicago. But at any rate, there's the North Siders, and now we go with the South Siders. and that is the White Sox. I don't see too many jersey heads with these jerseys, by the way. So don't sleep on these jerseys. These are actually this style jersey, I should say, for the White Sox. I know a couple of the jersey heads have the black Bo Jackson White Sox jerseys, but this style, this is pretty cool right here. This is that just screams out at you, Sox. Well, it's not Boston. I guess that was more of a Boston Sox, but Sox. I don't know. I can't speak Chicago, but here it is. The Sox. Anyhow, there it is. Big Sox in the front. Now this is an older, made in USA version. So you notice there's no name on the back. It's just a 72. Of course, this is a Carlton Fisk White Sox jersey, but again, some of the older run Mitchell and Ness baseball jerseys don't have the names, just the numbers. Now, a couple years ago, they actually reissued this one with his name on the back, but I already had this one in the fold, so I wasn't going to get the same jersey twice. But it's got the anniversary patch, Kamensky Park, 75th, right? Yep, 75th. Had to double check. This is the home white, of course. Great catcher, Carlton Fisk. I'd like to get his other Sox jersey. That would be the Red Sox. See, that time I can say it right because it's the Boston accent. But anyhow, so interestingly enough, during his Hall of Fame career, Carlton Fisk played on the Red Sox and on the White Sox. So he always could say he played on a team with Sox in it. So he would just had to remember to wear the red ones or the white ones. Huh? But anyhow. Yes, I know I'm in the mood tonight. But there is the Carlton Fisk White Sox jersey, and this is actually the first White Sox throwback I ever got. I got this one at the Mitchell and Ness store too, and this one I got years ago during some sort of sale they were having. And this is the Road Gray, again, the 1985 White Sox jersey, and again you'll see that familiar patch right there. And it's a Made in USA. For number 41, Tom Terrific, Tom Seaver. And again, since it's the older run jersey, it doesn't have a name on the back where it should be, but that's okay. Little details. But it's still a very cool jersey. Pretty rare jersey. You don't see it too often. And when I saw this, the thing I really liked about it, I just loved that Road Gray and how everything kind of went together with it. The big socks in the front and just it just set it all off for me. I just really liked it, so I picked it up. Again, this is many years ago, and then years later I got the Carlton Fisk. And I still want to get his Red Sox jersey sometime, because I still want to get one of those pullover Red Sox jerseys to continue on with the pullover collection. I see you, Boston. Because I know most people are saying, well, if you're going to have a Fisk jersey, it should be a Red Sox jersey. And then a lot of people are also saying, well, if you're going to have a Tom Seaver jersey, it should be a Mets jersey. But they did have good careers on those other teams, too. It's just they're kind of more known for being on those original teams. But, they still had solid Hall of Fame careers on the other teams they played on, too. So, Any rate, as always with the jerseys, it's always about the swag factor for me, too. So we're going to go with the Cubs first. I have this hat. Really like it. And, of course, it goes perfect with that Ryan Sandberg blue jersey. And I guess the gray one, too. But then, of course, the hats. There you go. Boom. Older, new era, gray under brims. And you weren't anybody back in the 90s if you didn't have one of these. Because everyone had one of these back in the 90s, right? The White Sox hat. Everyone had one of these back in the day. And actually bought this one back in the 90s. many, many years ago. But older gray, new era, under brim. White Sox. Classic hat right there. And, of course, to go more with these throwbacks, I got this one. Because that just goes with it better. The logo and all colors, everything like that. So, yeah. That was their logo like in the 80s and stuff like that. But yeah, I still like it. It's pretty cool. At any rate, that's this week's edition of the throwback jerseys for baseball, team-oriented. Again, we got the Chicago edition, we got the White Sox, we got the Cubs. Let them fight against one another now, but as those two teams always play one another in the interleague play, as the Mets and Yankees do in New York, and the Angels and Dodgers do in L.A. At any rate, hope everyone enjoyed. But before I forget, though, I do have a couple quick pickups to show. Because even though they haven't played too well this season, you know, you can never have too many Phillies hats. So there's another one, just a style hat for New Era, but I just like the look of it, so I picked it up. Got to go to Moe's, went to Modell's and picked that up. Had a coupon, so picked that up. And this one I just picked up today. I just liked it because it was different. It's kind of funky looking. Believe it or not, it is a Phillies hat. Just different colors. I don't know what jersey I'll put this with, but my all-time favorite Phillies logo right there. So I saw that on a hat. I said, oh, yeah, that's for me. Even though the colors don't exactly match up for the... I mean, they have the maroon, but, I mean, this green, I don't know. But I don't know. I'll figure something out with it, but... And it's a snapback, too, as you saw. And then this one I found at Ross Department Store. I found this for $10. Older, New Era, Cleveland Indians. Well, actually, it's not an older one. It has the black on the brim, but it's an older hat. Cause they've actually, I don't even know if they still wear that or not, but this was like an alternate for the logo from them for a little while. They went with like that eye instead of the Chief Wahoo head. I actually do prefer the hats with the Chief Wahoo head on it, but, you know, it's just a different look, and it looked pretty cool. Went with some stuff that I had, so picked it up. Anyhow, that is it. That's it for me. It's pretty hot in here, actually. It's getting kind of warm out there. But at any rate, again, hope everyone enjoyed this video. I saw Avengers yesterday, too. Very cool movie. I'm sure most of you probably were like me and went out and saw it by now, but if you didn't, I would definitely recommend it. Very cool movie. The Hulk definitely steals the show, which I'm very happy about because I've always been a fan of the Hulk. And though I'm still waiting for his movie. His comes out, I think, next year, if all goes well. I've heard this before, though. It's going on since like 2004 that he was supposed to have a movie out in the theater. But hopefully, they say next year looks, I mean, from what I've read and saw, it looks like it's still pretty good for next year. So I gotta go see his movie, of course, next year. And I expect all my fellow Jersey heads to go see it, too, and my subscribers, too. Because if you don't, I'll know. Yeah. But anyhow, we'll see what happens. With Hollywood, you never know, right? You never know. But I'm still keeping my fingers crossed. Toes, they're crossed right now, too. So, hey, with the success of all the superhero movies, it's about time that Mighty gets one. So hopefully next year will be the year indeed. But at any rate, to all my fellow Jersey heads out there, big shout-outs to you. To all my subscribers, of course, a big shout-out to all of you, too. Thank you all so much for subscribing to my channel. Keep hitting that subscribe button for me. Rate, comment, always appreciated. So do the same for my fellow Jersey heads, too. My family and friends, big shout-outs to you. Shout-outs to all the moms out there. I know this is Mother's Day. And shout-outs to my mom, of course, for Mother's Day and all the moms out there. Shout-outs to all of you. Happy Mother's Day. And... yeah, who else? DeviantArt members, shouts to all of you. Anyone that I forgot, shouts to all of you, too. But anyhow, this is MightyFan. I gotta get out of here. It's getting hot. So, I gotta get back under the fan. Alright? This is MightyFan saying peace, and I'll see you in the next video.